Bo Nickal, a highly touted MMA prospect and accomplished wrestler, discussed on the Joe Rogan Experience how his rapid ascent in the sport led to an expedited signing with the UFC. His viral finish at Jorge Masvidal's Icon FC3 and the ensuing buzz in the MMA community accelerated his journey to the UFC. Here's the clip.
My initial plan, like before any of this happened, was I'm gonna get 10 fights in the regional scene, you know, and then I'm gonna go to the UFC. I'll be the champ by like 13, 14 fights. Like that's what the plan was. And then after that, it was like everybody kind of knows what's up. Everybody's trying to sign me. And I talked with my manager, and I was like, dude, am I even going to be able to get a fight? Like, who's going to fight me like, on these regional scene promotion? Like, who's going to fight me in any of these? He's like, I'll be honest with you, like, nobody's going to fight you. And I'm like, okay, well, then, you know, in my mind, I'm going to the UFC. Like, you know, these other organizations, I think they do a good job and stuff, but that's not really me. Like, I'm a UFC guy.
Latest comments on the past videos. I know it was a bad loss, but I really hope Colby doesn't retire. If he leaves this sport without getting sent to the Shadow Realm, it'll haunt me forever. What's wrong with Nick? Colby has never said anything like that before. Talk all sorts of crap about people, say you're going to end them, even talk crap about people's living family members, even threaten people's family members, advocate for evil things. That's just trash talk. To talk crap about someone's dead parent at a press conference is a whole different matter. Bryce says some wild shit sometimes, but the dude's really a class act. Him and Wonderboy are the most wholesome guys in the sport. Dave Lovell, coach of Leon Edwards, discussed the emotional impact of Colby Covington's offensive remarks about Edwards' late father before UFC 296. Edwards, deeply affected, managed to maintain his composure and win the fight. Lovell criticized such personal attacks in MMA and questioned UFC President Dana White about setting limits on trash talk. White acknowledged Covington's controversial nature but didn't commit to any specific action regarding the issue. Lovell emphasized the importance of respect in the sport, particularly concerning family matters.
Yeah, you know, after that press conference, you know, Leon went backstage and you know, he was with Tim and he was well hurt by Ariel. You know, it took him back. You know, he didn't expect that. You know, as you could see by his reaction on stage, and yeah, it was a dirty, cheap. I can't even call it a trick. It was like, to me, it's going below the belt. You know, I'm not against a man selling a fight. It is what it is, and if he keeps it in that perspective, you know, all good. But when you start attacking family, now you've changed the rules, haven't you? You know, he's growing up basically fatherless, and for somebody to chuck that, you know, on him, you know, it's gut-wrenching, Ariel. And I even said to Dana after when he came over, I said, Dana, where do you draw the line? Dana turned around and says, well, listen, you know what kind of scum you're dealing with. But I said, yeah, Ariel, but yes, Dana, but, you know, you got to draw a line somewhere, bro. Because if that's the case, Ariel, that means, you know, he's giving the green light to anybody, you know. That means if me and you're going to fight, I can do a little bit of history on your family. God forbid I heard that one of your family members passed away under whatever circumstances, and then throw it in your face at a fight. Is that what everybody's about now?
Stephen Thompson remains positive despite his submission loss to Shavkat Rakhmonov at UFC 296. Thompson, a seasoned UFC welterweight, acknowledged his deviation from the game plan as a factor in his defeat. Despite this setback and a potential foot injury, he assures fans of his return, stronger and better. This loss interrupts the momentum he had from his previous win over Kevin Holland, placing him at 1-3 in his last 4 fights.
Obviously, I fought this past weekend, went exactly as planned. Actually, that's what happens when you don't follow the game plan. You get submitted in the second round, okay? All right, anyway, moving on. I actually came out of the fight pretty much unscathed, other than the fact that I think I broke my foot with a good body kick right to the elbow. Another thing, don't kick your opponent in the elbow, because that sucks. So I apparently have a broken foot, but I'm itching the bits to get back in the gym and start working out again.
Daniel Cormier expressed disappointment in Paddy Pimblett's performance against Tony Ferguson at UFC 296, noting a lack of improvement in Pimblett's striking. Although Pimblett won and Ferguson suffered his 7th consecutive loss, Cormier expected more, especially given Pimblett's claims of improved skills. He compared Pimblett's performance unfavorably to Conor McGregor's rise, where McGregor consistently finished performance unfavorably to Conor McGregor's rise, where McGregor consistently finished opponents. Despite the loss, Ferguson remains determined to continue fighting.
Paddy Pimblett fought really well in the first round.
Yep.
And he did a good job with his grappling. But I don't know, man. He told us that he had made all these improvements in his striking and he was gonna keep his chin down as he approached the striking. It just looked the same. And it was a decision victory against Tony Ferguson, who lately has not been able to get to the final bell inside of his fights. Granted, he was fighting Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje and Nate Diaz. He's fighting killers, right? But I just did not, I don't know, man. I don't think Paddy fought bad, but I think that he needed to do a little more. That's why it pisses me off so much when people compare everybody to Conor McGregor. When Conor McGregor was on his way up, he was finishing dudes. And he was knocking dudes clean. He was doing his thing. He was doing his thing. It was never close.
Dricus Du Plessis has dismissed the notion that his crowd brawl with Sean Strickland at UFC 296 was staged. Du Plessis, set to challenge Strickland for the UFC middleweight championship at UFC 297, explained how their rivalry escalated during a press conference before UFC 296. The tension boiled over at the event itself, leading to a physical altercation between the two.
Obviously, you know, this is a big mental game. This whole fight thing is a mental game for me. That's all fun and games, but at the end of the day, that's part of the fight. What happens in that press conference, that's a fight before the fight, just like the weigh-in is. 100%, and you know, there's nothing you could possibly say to throw me off. And I said, cool, I'm going to start chipping away and see what I get, because he looks like a guy that he's not going to be easily triggered, because like you said, he dishes it out. So you
think he'd have the thickest skin, you know?
And the first thing I said, and that was only the beginning, you can be so glad it was the end. I had so much more to go.
Oh my God.
I was so ready for that. And that was the first thing I said, this guy, and I thought, oh, he's acting like, and then I saw he was like shaking, and I'm like, oh, I really got you. Okay. And I mean, I was like, well, I mean, I did all this homework and I did all this preparation for this, and now first thing I said,